let's. Marie, can you hear me? Can everyone? Thank you. Okay. Let's just take a moment just to pause. Take a deep breath in, let your shoulders rise up and let them fall. And as you breathe in, let that out breath be with that sigh of letting go, that ah. And sink into the feeling of the weight of your body, all the way down to your feet. And smile to that one radiant presence expressing as each of us. And in the silence, in your own way, with an open heart and mind, let that communion, that communication, flow like the waters. And now feel the flow of life and love and light radiating through every cell in our bodies as a living presence, and reclaim our oneness and our true self. Peace. When we sit in the silence, we're turning our attention within and letting go of outer distractions. But when we close our eyes, we probably hear the volume turned up on that noisy mind. And it's okay. It's just part of our experience. But the deeper we go, as the song that Maggie shared this morning, if we focus our life within us, if we focus the peace and feel it through us, we focus our love in the center of our hearts, from which our soul light radiates its warmth and life. And if we can maintain that, there would truly be not only peace within us and fulfillment, but on the earth and everywhere. But that's why we're here, Earth School. We're all still in school practicing, right? No matter what the situation is or the story, it's really the same for all of us. We've just forgotten that we're already one. There is no higher self. There is only the one self, expressing like the rays of the sun as individual lights, rays of light. And each of you and myself cannot be duplicated. And there's a reason why we're here. It's for the oneness, for that ultimate reality, to express in its multitude of possibilities itself in physical form. And how much fun it is when I look around and greet and meet someone new and discover different abilities and characteristics and personalities and talents. Because the one is unlimited, but I get to see a little light, a little reflection of that one jewel. And it expands, and I feel more fulfilled and connected. So, what amazing music this morning, Margie and Marie. And we didn't coordinate this, and I always am so humbled with the synchronicity of what I'm led to share and how the music is, and Marita's reading from the Daily Word today, how it's all connected. Again, it's just a symbol that shows us it's all one. So the talk today is embraced in oneness. Living a heart-centered life. So embraced means that we're held and supported unconditionally in this circle of oneness. There's earth beneath our feet. We don't have to worry about it getting up in the morning, do we? The sun comes out. The moon comes so we can go back to sleep and rest. All of these cycles. And oneness is simply, what does it mean? Singularity, unity, connection. There is this one consciousness, as Marita was saying, there's only one power. So if there's only one, that means that we are that, correct? We are that. Again, like the rays of the sun, we're just individual expressions of that. Now, this whole consciousness thing is something I've been contemplating and exploring for 30 years, consciously. And I still feel like I'm in kindergarten. But the word universe also means one, and we know from science that there's a quantum field of all possibilities that holds this wholeness, this ebb and flow, things we see back and forth, up and down, dark and light. But it always seeks balance. It always seeks harmony. That is the underlying nature of this oneness. And to express that. So perhaps we need to ask the question to ourselves, so why don't we see that expressing out in the world? Is the United States united? Was the State of the Union in union? Not to be political, just using this as an outer reference. Do we as individuals feel connected within ourselves in total integrity, in thought and word and action? Do we feel connected in our bodies and our thoughts? This feeling of disjointedness and separation it happens for many reasons. And I'd like to point out perhaps 3 that we could explore together today. One is historically. We are still living in the 1800s and those beliefs. The belief in evolution and Darwin theory, the theory of nature, that it's a struggle, that things are always in conflict. There's a fight to survive. This lower consciousness that we know in a part of our brain, down here in the brain stem, is there to protect us so that we live and we can survive. But there's another part. There's a higher part. When some of you may have heard of Greg Braden, perhaps, Okay, so he is a earth scientist, a geologist, a musician. He's also has explored spirituality and ancient wisdom and put those together. He, along with Bruce Limpton, who's a biologist who also wrote The Biology of Belief, you'll find it interesting that they actually spoke at the UN on this oneness consciousness. And they specifically were pointing out these 3 cycles that are happening now of convergence. And it's climate, it's economics, meaning how we share our resources, and it's also human conflict. They showed a chart for hundreds of years that there was an ebb and flow for war and peace. And they found out that this was coordinated with the Earth's magnetic fields. And when they're weak, there's more conflict. And right now, the Earth's magnetic fields are weaker. And we're more vulnerable to conflict. But that does not mean we have to succumb to that. What that means is we become aware of it. And it's a call for each of us to stand in our own truth, our own spiritual truth, of our own realization of ourself. And call that forth. Not only think it, but to live it and dive deep into our prayer and meditation and our practices every day and how we interact with everyone, especially ourselves. There's also a biological and cultural aspect to why we forget. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Mario Martinez, and he is a neuropsychologist. And he's an amazing man that brings very practical practices into being able to live this kind of life. And one of the things, he wrote the book, The Mind-Body Code. And one of the interesting things he shares is that how our immune system works is based on either empowering ourself, our true self, or disempowering it. So when we live from those virtues and those characteristics that the oneness can express in harmony, the immune system, we're in health. Health, wholeness, holiness, we're connected. When we have some stinking thinking, and especially where we beat ourselves up or judge. Now, I know most of you don't do that, but I'm going to report on myself. Okay? So he talks about the need we've talked about when you thought it, you caught it. Now what you do is you give it a voice. So what I've been doing is I've been giving those thoughts and self-talk of separation a different voice, verbally. So it may sound something like this. Well, Kathleen, you're just ridiculous. I just can't believe you said that. And who do you think? What are they going to think of you? And when I'll say that out loud to myself, I see how absurd it is. And someone told me, well, that's why the Buddha's laughing. Because he's awake and realizes that it's absurd that we can be so pulled apart and drawn into this outer drama of life. These are other people's choices, but it's up to us to be those spiritual warriors, to dive deep and remember what we are. To remember what we are. We all know we've got imprinted. Everybody's done the best they could, or maybe that they were willing to do or had the skills to do at the time. But that's all the past. When it comes up, we can embrace it and hold it and say, hey, it's okay, we're free now, we have a choice, we're going to go forward. And if I need to cry right now, I'll cry. And if I need to be upset, I'll be upset. And I'll make sure I'm really upset and I'm really crying so I can get it all out. It's all about letting go and removing those blocks so the light of our true self can surface. That's the spiritual part, is to remember that the kingdom of within, focus on the light, hold our attention on that which we seek. It's already there. Just simply by acknowledging now, I am whole. But to feel it. So what I'd like to do now is do a little meditation together, inspired by Dr. Mario Martinez. So as you sit once again, comfortably, let us know that the resolution for all of us is a spiritual revolution, an uprising of our own consciousness, an immediate turnaround from separation to a heartfelt connection of wholeness within ourselves, that in that very peace that passes all understanding. And the more we can know and feel that presence as alive within us, the more it will express. So if you'd like, I just invite you to place your hands on your heart or across your heart and smile and say hello to that expression of that ultimate reality, that one consciousness, beingness, that energy, intelligence that's everywhere present. As you're looking in the mirror, it is you. And open the heart and the mind to receive that. As you allow the breath to flow like the rivers, in and out through your heart, through the front and the back, slowly and deeply. Maybe even to a count of 5 in breaths and 5 out breaths. And feel that warmth and light of that presence. Welcome it and allow it to, invite it to expand into your abdomen, into your throat, your head, your eyes, down your neck and shoulders and into your arms and hands. Down your spine and into your tailbone and your hips, your buttocks, your thighs, even the knees, shins and calves to the feet. Let the whole body breathe in and feel harmony, health, vitality, abundance, joy, clarity, wisdom. And as we allow it to flow through us and welcome it, let us allow it to open and radiate out through our hearts into this room, to each other, beyond the walls of this beautiful chapel, into our community, into our state of Georgia, into all of the states of America united, and allow this light to reach and wrap around the world and out into the universe. And back again to us in the center of our hearts. As you breathe in, let your breath expand through all of those layers and back home again into the center of yourself. And smile. As we hold our hearts, let us return its attention to the very source of love, our first and primary love, our love behind all loves, whatever name you give it. Allow your awareness to expand and be open to an unlimited sense of that as you and everyone. Amen. So now we are going to have a little ritual ceremony that you're invited to participate in. This is a candle lighting ceremony of self-remembrance, and it's also a symbol of oneness for each of us. Just like a light, we are all wired for greatness, and we're here to express that. So we're going to allow this to be a symbol of the oneness, of that light that we're going to share. And I will explain that as our four helpers will prepare the stage so we can begin that process.